we got next, screaming Israel rise. Jamming to my verbs, standing on the curb, damning of the word, damaging my nerves, cannon for the purge. I go Michael bad, flow crazy like a psychopath, like a rifle blast. Try your ass, get your idol smashed.
There are lots of facts involved.
Okay. It's the Big Bang Theory of facts.
It is a fact, yes.
So when did a theory become a fact?
In science, a theory has a lot more weight to it than when we're just talking and I say, I have a theory that the sun's going to come up or whatever.
So, are you a man of faith?
I have faith in a lot of things, just not in a higher power.
So you're religious?
You could say that.
Okay, well that's honest, because a lot of atheists, they come up here and they say they're not men of faith or they're not religious, but they believe in something that's unseen that they can't prove that they weren't there to substantiate.
Yeah, I mean, if you're for a football game, that's a religion or something.
Where are you from?
I'm from South Carolina.
South Carolina. What's your ethnicity?
I mean, I'm white.
White.
In terms of beyond that.
White is an ethnicity?
I guess I would say, what, Irish, German, English, Scottish, somewhere in there.
See, when I hear Irish, German, English, Scottish, I hear devil.
Right.
Because you admit that you guys came, raped, robbed, and murdered, and stole a whole country. You admit that? How do you feel about that?
I feel like
we should get over it because it's the past.
No. I think that it's important to acknowledge and it's important to recognize, and it's also important to not hate ourselves for what our ancestors did. Even however terrible those things were, that it's okay for us to be who we are and try to be better, but not spend our lives devoted to this idea that we're terrible and we do these terrible things.
Okay, do you think sweeping it under the rug is the best method?
No, I don't.
Have you helped or tried to fix or change anything that's happened with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans?
Not in any way that you would recognize, I'm sure. In my own head a little bit, maybe.
Okay, well let's hear one example. Just one example of how you were remorseful and tried to contribute to the affliction that your ancestors caused and are still causing today.
Tried to make up for it. You mean to repair? I would say it's just a perpetual attempt to be aware of the ways in which I'm being racist or privileged or whatever.
Somebody just walked by bumping unapologetically white.
Yeah, you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it. That's crazy. Anyway, so are you a man of justice? We've been looking for one white man who is just a man of justice and who believes that what happened with our people was an atrocity and that it was never dealt with, no restitution, no repercussions, you know?
Yeah. I believe in justice, but justice is a very complicated thing.
Complicated thing when you've already benefited for
well,
the
absolutely,
last 400 years.
Absolutely. I mean, I get
it's
exactly
complicated to undo the systematic oppression and the institutionalized racism that white people have established in this country, right?
Absolutely.
It's pretty hard.
Absolutely.
And so what we should be asking for, instead of anything else, any 40 acres, any mules, we should be asking for your blood on the sidewalk of 4th and Pine.
That's right.
It's possible.
Yeah,
you can
because
ask for that.
What moral?
You're talking Old Testament justice. You're talking eye for an eye.
Old Testament justice?
Yeah.
No, it's actually New Testament.
Explain.
Revelation 13:10.
Bring it out! This is the book of Revelation.
Well, you come prepared.
Chapter 13, verse 10.
He was already there because God knows the devil.
Sorry.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
He that leadeth into captivity.
Did you guys lead our people into captivity? Not only just the blacks, but our so-called Mexican brothers were led into Spain by way of slave ships as well.
Yeah, when you say you guys, you're saying white Americans?
Your ancestors.
Okay.
The founding fathers, the Spanish, the Dutch, Germany, Irish.
Bring it out.
13 colonies, the French, the Portuguese, all right, all of them. They all had a hand.
And the opportunistic slave traders in Africa as well.
Well, they're not on trial right now. When an African comes up here, then I'll put him on trial. But
right.
now, we got to talk about what you did and how you're benefiting off of it even to this day.
Well, what I did and how I'm benefiting are different things. What I did is none of those things. How I'm benefiting is
are you not of the lineage of your father?
I am.
Okay, so
My lineage. No, that doesn't matter.
okay,
Go ahead.
If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity
okay, so you guys led us into captivity. Read.
shall go into captivity.
You know the book of Revelation, right? Is that Old Testament or New Testament?
Sure, it's New Testament.
Okay.
Of course.
Now, what's your rebuttal to that scripture?
Well, I don't believe it.
Okay, well,
I'm an atheist.
let's entertain it for arguendo's sake.
Okay.
Because you don't believe in it, but you quote it, it's an eye for an eye in the Old Testament. Now you're contradicting yourself.
Well, because
Bring it out,
you
Deacon!
Justice, and you quoted a version of justice that sounded like an Old Testament
But you
version.
opened it up for discussion now in the Bible, right? Let me ask you this. Do you think that you're benefiting from slavery today? Let's just be honest here.
I certainly. It would be difficult to explain exactly how, but yes.
How are you benefiting from slavery? Bayan, the camera. How are you benefiting from slavery today? What are those, ASICs?
Yes.
How about the fact that your ASICs are on this ground right now? That's benefiting from slavery.
Bring that out.
Explain that.
Being able to walk freely on the dead bones of the Native Americans and so-called Mexicans is you being able to benefit. You just being able to catch a flight around America and live here and be here in America is benefiting from slavery.
When you use, I'm curious, do you separate out treatment of Native Americans versus treatment of African slaves? You seem to roll them very closely together.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of similarities, of course, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
We don't tend to call the way we treat Native Americans as slavery.
Well, if you knew your history, there were 6 million indigenous people in slavery, and guess what else? And I believe that the books are cooked. I believe it was way more than that. Then they say it was 12 million over the time of the whole from 1492 to the Emancipation Proclamation. They say 12 million blacks, and then 6 million plus indigenous people were slaves.
Okay.
And this is their own statistics, so that's why I group us all together, because we believe that the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, indigenous, are the same stock, the same people, the 12 tribes of Israel. So that's just an example of how you guys do benefit off of slavery.
Yeah.
Now, these are just facts and points that we like to bring out for people who, I mean, do you think this is a post-racial society?
No.
Oh, okay. Like, we just got to be real. A lot of people don't come up like you. All right. So, I got to ask you this about your moral compass, your moral standard. Being that you don't believe in God, which we like to ask a lot of atheists. I'm sure he's the atheist scholar. I'm gonna let him.
I would have killed you already, but I'm gonna let Deacon go ahead.
That's right.
Okay. He's doing great.
I want to know what's your moral compass. Where can we find your moral standard and your moral compass? Like, according to the belief system you have, atheism. I mean, why is it not wrong if I harm you? Or is it wrong or is it not wrong? After all, we're just violent, wandering pieces of matter, right?
I mean, my feeling is that if you're an atheist, it just means that you just don't have that particular piece. It's not. Some people really cling to this atheism. Like, it's really important for me to combat you, the believer, and like that it's almost my religion to tell you that your religion is wrong.
Well, no, I commend you. Let me just make this disclaimer, then I'm gonna let you finish your thought. I commend you on being an atheist. I don't think you should believe in this God, because this God is only the God of the Israelites.
That's right.
So he's not your God anyway, so you have damn good right to be an atheist. But you were saying now...
So moral compass comes from a it wouldn't come from atheism, because atheism is a nothing, right?
It's a religion. It's a religion.
Well, it's not for me. I don't treat it that way.
Well, you said you were religious, but you said you were religious.
Oh yeah, I'm religious about science. I'm religious about I don't quite want to say social justice, but things like that. But I'm not religious about a higher power.
So you don't.
My moral compass comes from the way that I was raised, which is a very Christian sort of style. So I recognize the value of the morality there, but take it away from the.
Okay, so your moral compass comes from a book that you don't believe in. Wow. Okay.
Great, yeah, that's great.
The confusion of Esau, right?
I guess I would say that I think there's a lot of wisdom in that book.
Okay, I can deal with that.
It would be a good read without having to believe the supernatural parts.
How many million atheists are there on the planet?
I don't know. I've seen that number before, but
there's a lot though, right?
It's growing.
Okay, so let's speak from a general perspective of an atheist. Where does their moral compass come from? Some may not be like you. They didn't have that Christian upbringing. They didn't once reverence the scriptures. So how will we get this? You know where I'm going, right?
Well, I think what's hard about atheism is that, for me, like, I don't have a church that I can go to. I don't have a community of people that we all agree on what's right and wrong. That's harder for me to find, and that's been a major struggle of my adulthood, is trying to figure out, like, I kind of know how I believe, but how can I frame that? How can I find people to have conversations about that?
Okay.
Right?
So again,
that's a challenge. Atheism doesn't have a good answer.
Again, I want you to try to speak for other people here. Your proponents.
I guess.
How do they get their moral standard if they weren't their upbringing wasn't in the Bible?
I take a utilitarian perspective. So whatever is the most good for the most number of people, sort of a mathematical approach. So like.
So you know there's a mathematical approach. It's called keep humanity at 500 million. Have you heard of that mathematical approach?
No.
It's called keep humanity at 500 million.
Okay.
This is the goal of the elites, and it's written and carved on the Georgia guidestones. So what they want to do is cut humanity down to 500 million and keep it like that because they feel like we're overpopulating the earth and depleting all the natural resources.
Yeah.
So the guys who set that up were probably what? Atheists. You know why? Because you guys don't have any moral compass.
No, that's not. That your assumption is that moral compass only comes from religion.
Well, where else would it come from?
It comes from your.
I'm looking for a key word because I'm waiting.
It's from a community, right?
Community.
It comes from a community.
Have you heard of the Jim Jones community?
What's best for all of us.
Have you heard of the Jim Jones community?
I have heard of the Jim Jones community.
That community had great moral standards?
They didn't survive.
They didn't survive. So, I mean,
so maybe their community evolutionarily dies out and other communities take its place.
Was he wrong for giving them that drink to drink and making them all kill themselves?
Well, I think so, but they didn't think so.
Well, why was he wrong? Why?
Because
you see how hard it is for you to determine what's right, what's right and wrong.
Anybody who says morality is easy is probably not studying.
Really, give me 1 John 5. The commandments are not grievous.
Bring it out!
Let them know. The scriptures say, "Take on my yoke, for it is easy." It's easy to do this thing. 1 John 5 and 3.
Wait. Well, okay, go ahead.
I believe it's 5 and 3. What's it? 5 and 3? Yeah, 5 and 3. Go ahead.
This is the book of 1 John, chapter 5, verse 3. For this is the love of God.
This is the love of our God. Go ahead.
That we keep his commandments.
That we keep his commandments, his moral compass. Go ahead.
And his commandments
and this moral compass is what?
Are not grievous.
It's not grievous. It's not hard to do.
That's
but it's hard for you because there's a conflict.
If it's not hard to do, why were the 10 Commandments not enough? Why did he have to send Jesus again to wait, let me clarify.
Okay.
Right?
You gotta clarify that.
No, I'm saying Jesus came down and said, hey everybody, let me clarify how you're supposed to be doing this. Right? Because the 10 Commandments weren't enough and people were still
613 commandments.
That's right.
613, yes.
Okay.
And probably more,
Okay.
but 613. So it wasn't just 10.
Okay.
And the reason why the Messiah was sent, what you're saying he was sent because what?
To clarify God's intentions for how people are supposed to live.
Okay, so
Because they didn't
what's the
know.
difference between the moral compass that was before Christ and the moral compass that was after Christ?
Well, according to the moral compass before Christ, they would have, stoned Mary Magdalene to death?
They were still stoning people before and after Christ
They still
and
were.
during Christ.
But he's the one who came up and said, hey, you know, what is that? I think it's
said-
the one, let you who was without sin cast the first stone. Is that the right story? Okay.
So all he was
Right.
saying, you know what he was saying? Did he
He's
tell
saying,
him?
don't follow that earlier law. There's a better one.
No, he didn't say that. Did he tell him not to stone her?
Sort of.
He didn't tell him not to stone her. He said, let's get her stoned properly. Now, if you hypocrite Negroes out here are trying to stone her while you're committing sin, the same sin, then don't stone. You had a point?
I just had one point. Because you asked a question, you said, well, if that's the case, then why weren't the 10 Commandments enough or sufficient? Which we believe it's more, but I understand your point. It's because of perversion of what you just did. You don't know the story. You're familiar with it. You have a vague idea about it, but you have perverted the story.
Okay.
He didn't go anywhere. First of all, they brought them to her. They brought her to him. He ignored them at first. But since he recognized that they were hypocrites, as the brother just said, he attacked their hypocrisy, not the law that was going to permit her to be stoned. So that's why Christ had to come, because of perverse men like you that take the word and rest, and they wrestle with it, aka twist it. All right, and that's all I had to say.
We got next screaming Israel rise. Jamming to my verbs, standing on the curb, famine of the word, damaging my nerves, cannon for the purge. I go Michael bad, flow crazy like a psychopath, like a rifle blast. Try your ass, get your idol smashed. White Jesus, take that pinning off. Day of Pentecost in the synagogue, I've been a boss. Every minute cost, and I got the dinner sauce. They call me Pace Picante. They put beef on my plate, and I ate the entree. From the seed of Jacob, I don't need a Jacob or a Rolex. Accurate passages in the papyrus and the codex. Bohemian Grove, sacrifice to the Alamolech. Pretty soon, it's Judge Dredd.